on the last part, Final Form Frieza finally arrives on Earth. This version of Frieza is a good and pure-hearted version, as the Spirit Bomb was used on him back on Namek that purified all of his evil intentions. So when he witnessed Semi-Perfect Cell beating up Piccolo and Piccolo being on the verge of death, Frieza immediately intervenes, saving Piccolo's life, knocks Semi-Perfect Cell away, and Semi-Perfect Cell is actually surprised. So Frieza decided to come to Earth. Wasn't Frieza supposed to be dead or something? So they decided to exchange roles. However, what Semi-Perfect Cell didn't know was that Frieza has been doing some training of his own. It was just a little bit of training, minute amounts. However, Frieza has a lot of potential, and these minute amounts of training puts him above the power of Semi-Perfect Cell. And Semi-Perfect Cell couldn't believe it. This was not part of his calculations, so he decided to make a tactical retreat, utilizing the Solar Flare to blind Frieza. At this point, Cell was desperate. Frieza was strong as hell, much stronger than him, and needed a way to defeat Frieza right away, and the solution is right in front of him. He needed to become perfect, and he sees Android 18 hiding in the distance. This was his opportunity, this was his chance, and he rushes towards Android 18, flaring out his power. This was his chance to become perfect. However, suddenly two figures appeared right in front of him. They were none other than Goku and Vegeta. Goku and Vegeta had just finished their training in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, and their powers have increased dramatically. And all they needed was one key block to completely obliterate Cell from existence. After all, Cell killed Tien Shinhan, so they wouldn't let Cell live any longer. Cell was a huge threat. However, suddenly Goku detects a huge power right behind them. This was none other than Frieza, who had flown right beside them. Goku was initially on guard. Frieza was, after all, was their enemy back on Namek. However, Piccolo stands in Goku's way, telling Goku to calm down. Frieza was one who had saved his life. Frieza doesn't really have any expression on his face. It was all a pretty bizarre encounter. After all, he was actually here to thank Goku, to thank him for enlightening him. And Vegeta is also honestly pretty uncomfortable with all of this. After all, Frieza was his sworn enemy. However, after the Spirit Bomb had been used on him as well, Frieza didn't really feel any more hatred towards Frieza. So now we move into the time skip, the 7-year time skip in between the Buu arc and the Cell Saga. After Frieza makes amends with Goku, he actually becomes pretty good friends with the gang, and actually comes and stops by on Earth once in a while and helps them train. Though he still despises training as a concept, he does recognises the merits of it. However, so he just engages in very minute amounts of training. However, these minute amounts of training actually put him stronger than both Goku, Vegeta and Gohan. He was the strongest in the group. He was followed by Goku and Vegeta, who have mastered Super Saiyan 2 and have started tapping into Super Saiyan 3 during this period of time. Though they haven't really mastered Super Saiyan 3 just yet, the stamina consumption was overwhelming. Meanwhile, Gohan also taps into Super Saiyan 2 and masters it completely, though he actually doesn't have any access to Super Saiyan 3. So now we move into the Buu Saga. As usual, Gohan goes to high school and ends up meeting Videl. Videl threatens Gohan's identity as a Great Saiyan Man, threatening him, and therefore Gohan joins the World Tournament. Gohan teaches Videl how to fly, and afterwards the World Tournament begins. Last week I made a severe error, stating that Android 18 was dead. However, Android 18 is actually alive in this scenario. So CC joins the tournament, just that now Frieza is an extra member with the group. Anyways, let's continue. This is where things start to change. Their initial encounter with the Supreme Kais were very different. Shin and Kibito immediately recognized Space Tyrant Frieza. Unfortunately, they are not aware that Frieza has changed his ways and were immediately on guard, about to attack Frieza. Will they be able to defeat Frieza? And will Frieza retaliate against them? Or will Yamu and Spopovich actually take advantage of this situation and get the energy they need? Well, these are all questions we'll answer today on Dragon Ball Z. Shin and Kibito were about to attack Frieza. However, Frieza just nonchalantly standing there. He had no idea who these two were, but didn't have any beef with them. Nor did they have any beef with him, so why were they so hostile? Goku, however, suddenly steps in the way, telling them to calm down. Frieza had changed his ways, and Goku could vouch for that. After all, he had been interacting with Frieza for the past 7 years, so Shin and Kibito decided to take their leave, and Goku heaves a sigh of relief. Well, he didn't expect anyone to recognize Frieza here, so it wasn't like Frieza was a prominent figure on Earth or anything, so these two were kinda weird and suspicious. So afterwards, we continue with Golden and Trunks fighting out in the Junior Division, and then after that, Spopovich completely obliterating Videl as usual. This causes Gohan to power up in a fit of rage. He didn't want to see his girlfriend being obliterated like that, and this immediately alerts Yamcha and Spopovich to Gohan's presence. That power was amazing. It could even be enough. It could be enough to revive Majin Buu, so he decided to keep a watchful eye on Gohan. And as usual, Supreme Kai's strategy to trap Gohan works, and Yamcha and Spopovich end up absorbing Gohan's energy. Afterwards, they immediately flee the scene with the energy in tow, and then afterwards, the Z Fighter immediately gives chase. As usual, Shin explains the story of Majin Buu to the Z Fighters. The Z Fighters were pretty intrigued by this story. Majin Buu seemed like a terrifying creature. As they hid behind the rocks as usual, Dabura senses their presence and ends up killing Kibito. However, he wasn't actually able to turn Piccolo or Krillin to stone. The world retreats into Babadi's hideout, and now the rest of the events play on as usual, with the rest of the Z Fighters, including Piccolo and Krillin this time around, going into Babadi's ship. As usual, Vegeta completely obliterates Puri, just destroying him in one key blast. Vegeta is stronger in this version of events, and in the original canon events, Puri was also no match for him, so nothing much to say about this. However, just as Vegeta finishes off Puri, the entire ship and Earth start to shake vigorously. They have no idea what's going on. However, Babidi had actually injected the energy they got from Gohan into Majin Buu's egg. So one thing to account for is that Gohan has been training the past 7 years and is much stronger than his canon self. So this energy that they managed to get was actually enough to revive Majin Buu. Babidi was elated by this outcome. This was amazing. He could not expect a Earthling warrior to be this strong, to have enough energy to revive his father's masterpiece. Buu comes out and everyone's honestly not impressed at all. Buu didn't even look like he knew what he was doing, and was just honestly a playful pink blob of mess, and was honestly just making fun of Babidi. So everyone was just pretty intrigued, and Goku decides to immediately charge out the Spirit Bomb just in case. He didn't need a huge amount of energy, he just needed enough to form a small Spirit Bomb, and if he was able to land it on Buu, he would be able to purify Buu, just like he did with Vegeta and Frieza. And immediately Buu starts showing his sinister side by destroying Dabura. So Vegeta, Frieza and Gohan decide to take up tasks of distracting Buu while Goku charges out the Spirit Bomb. And immediately the power of the three combines, able to completely obliterate Majin Buu. Majin Buu was no match for the three of them. So Goku decides this was the time as he launches the Spirit Bomb straight towards Majin Buu. Majin Buu was still being distracted by the three of them, so he didn't notice as the Spirit Bomb completely obliterates Majin Buu out of existence. Almost. There was still a few small particles of Buu left on the ground, and Goku was honestly a bit worried. Did he charge up too much energy to kill Majin Buu? That wasn't really his intention. However, Buu starts to regenerate, and suddenly he forms back into Majin Buu. And suddenly Majin Buu just smiled, like there wasn't any evil, angry expression on his face. Shows that the Spirit Bomb had worked. It had purified Buu for good. And Shin honestly is pretty intrigued by this turn of events. He didn't know that the Z Fighter has such a powerful trick up their sleeve, and Goku is happy about this outcome. After all, now they have another strong fighter in their squad. So now we move into the Battle of Gods saga as Beerus awakes from his slumber. So how will things change now that Frieza is here with the gang? Will Frieza be able to defeat Beerus? Will Frieza unlock some new god form or something? Well, these are all questions to answer in the next part on Dragon Ball Z.